So The Strays just came out on Netflix. So basically, this is a thriller movie. And don't confuse it with that movie Strays coming out later this year about the dogs, which looks like a grown up version of Homeward Bound. Yeah, this is a completely different movie. So basically, this feels like it's a Jordan Peele wannabe. It feels like it's trying to say something about class and racism with all the subtlety of a bull in a china shop. And you know what? Jordan Peele isn't the most subtle man either, but he's talented. He knows how to tell a riveting story. I'm actually watching a show that he produced on Amazon. It's a remake of The Twilight Zone, and it's really, really good. So he's definitely a very talented man, and whoever directed this felt like they were trying to go in that Get Out sort of direction and just failing. So the tone tries to be tense, but it comes across as awkward. It's a fairly slow movie. It definitely dragged at parts. I felt like the characters weren't very relatable. Like the kids, okay, spoiler alert. So basically, the plot of the movie, so you understand, is there's this woman who was escaping an abusive partner when she was young, and she had two young kids who she abandons. She flees, tries to take on a new identity in a wealthy, majorly white suburb, and tries to fit in with that whole environment. And then her two new children, they go to a private school. They've got all the advantages of living in that sort of area. She has a white husband. She's acclimated to that whole area. And then there's her two children that she left behind when she was young, who find her and basically start to make her life hell because obviously they're angry at being abandoned. So this is what is happening in the movie. And you can see it a mile off. Like, it's not a subtle movie. You can figure out the plot twist really, really early. And I feel like this movie would have benefited more if it had sort of waited and not shown its hand too early and had more of a build up and made it so you didn't really understand, okay, these are obviously her kids. Have it be a surprise. And her kids, I feel like, weren't very good actors, or maybe that was the way they were meant to act, but the characters just felt very uncharismatic. And I feel like it would have been a smarter movie if they had been more charismatic and had like weaved their way more into her life and gotten her to actually trust them and invite them into her life. Though obviously she has a problem with her own people, so that probably wouldn't happen because she's shown to be a woman who has a lot of self-esteem issues. And it's sad, but at the same time, you can't really have too much sympathy for a woman who abandons her own children. So, anyway, look, I feel like they really needed to focus more on that third act because basically they confront her new children, their half sister, half brother, and Ghostface did it better. So, if you've seen Scream 3, you know what I'm talking about when I say Ghostface did it better. Because the whole plot of that movie was an abandoned son seeking revenge on his mother who had abandoned him. So if you want a good revenge movie, go watch Scream 3 in preparation for Scream 6 coming out soon, which is going to be infinitely better than this movie. Look, it had potential. It definitely did have a lot of potential, but I feel like it would have been better if in the third act, when the kids had shown who they are, that they're the children of this woman, if the tables had flipped and they had really committed to making her the villain, because yes, she is portrayed as being the villain in this movie because she ends up leaving her new children, and the final shot we see is of her four children together, united, one would think. because they all have this thing in common now, this horrible thing that brings them together. They've all been abandoned, but the two children that she abandoned killed her husband, so at the same time, it's not like they're suddenly going to become a family unit. So if they hadn't had the two abandoned kids kill her husband, and instead have the woman really commit to being a villain, go crazy, try to kill her kids, you know, that sort of thing, I feel like that would have been a more interesting movie. But yeah, this movie just felt tonally a bit all over the place, like it didn't really know what it was trying to say. And yeah, it dragged on a bit. There were times I really had to focus on the movie and it was quite boring at times, so I would say skip this one. I would give it a 5 out of 10 if I'm being honest. So let me know what you think down below. Do you think this movie is worth a watch? I would say, like I said, just watch Scream 3 or Get Out, you know, which is an infinitely better movie. So if you would like to subscribe, like, comment, all of that, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks, guys.